Anyways, yeah, we'll get started. My name is Gariel Lynch, and I'm originally, I was born in Pennsylvania in the U.S., 1976, so I'm 42. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself, like how I got started into all of this natural medicine, plant medicine. I was just a normal kid and everything was fine until about I was 6, 7 years old. And a massive destructive thing happened to my family. My father almost passed away. My mother was very sick. They ended up separating and I went to live with my mother. And when I was living with her, I was very sick all the time, and I was, typical mother, take the Western approach, and she would take me to the doctor and they would give me lots of antibiotics. But I was sick all the time. And the antibiotics didn't help. I would always get the flu, the cold, whatever, and coughing all the time. So anyways, when I was 13, I went to live with my father. And my father was an herbalist. He didn't take any Western medicine, no pills, anything. He just took herbs. And he told me, well, son, I'm going to help you get better, but you have to fast. So my father, when I was 13, he started putting me on fasts. So I would stop eating. When I felt sick, I would stop eating. And he gave me herbs, he gave me plants, and all of a sudden, my health improved dramatically. So that was the first time I was introduced to natural medicine and natural cures. So a number of years later, I found myself interested in this again. And I decided to take a very extreme approach. This was the mid to late 1990s, and it was the peak of the raw foods movement in California. I ended up in California, and I started doing long fasts and juice fasts, and taking lots of herbs to cleanse my body, purgatives. And these purgatives, they were very strong. They would make me go to the bathroom, and I was very amazed at the healing capability of these plants, and what amazed me, what was coming out of my body. So I would be taking just juice fast, that's it. Vegetable juice, sometimes citrus juice. But with these plants, these herbs I was taking, I would go to the toilet and I was filling the toilet up with junk, with stuff, and it smelled, it was terrible. So I thought to myself, well, how could this be? I haven't eaten anything in 2 weeks, and how is the toilet filled up? So I had some revelations there, I had some epiphanies, and I went deeper. I started going into the giant redwood forests in Northern California where the giant sequoia trees are. I was doing long fasts there. So that's how I got started. A number of years later, my mother, she was sick. She was sick with the illness for many years. And in 2004, I got a call that she deteriorated. She was in the hospital, and I had to go back to Pennsylvania to pick her up and take her to my home, where I would take care of her. I was the only child, so it was my duty to take care of her. The social workers were kind of surprised and said, oh, you're not going to put her in a home? I said, no, I take care of her. So my mother, when she was getting sicker, I happened to be at a friend of mine, a Chinese doctor. I was in his office, and there were a couple guys there drinking tea, and they asked me to sit down with them and talk. And during the conversation, one of the guys said, hey, the police came and raided a greenhouse up north. They came and raided this ethnobotanical garden place. And I said, what were they growing? Because California, they grow a lot of weed, they grow cannabis. So I said, were they growing weed? And he said, no, they were growing ayahuasca. And this is, at the time, this was 2006, there was something that you never heard about it. Nobody talked about it. I had read about it in books and stuff. but like the William Burroughs book was the first one in the West that came out with ayahuasca, 1950s. But it was off the radar. But something went off in my head. A light went on, and I found somebody in Peru to send me the ayahuasca vine and the other plant, the chacruna leaf, to cook it together and to drink it. And what happened was my mother, she was pretty sick and we weren't communicating. She wasn't able to talk. And the whole idea behind this was to go and try to connect with my mother and find out what was going on with her. So that night, after I cooked it myself, I went and drank. And my spirit went right up to her and we communicated. And she told me, son, I'm not going to be here anymore, I'm leaving. And at that point I knew, and I cried the whole night. And it was, 2 weeks later, my mother passed away. So to have that intense experience the first time, I decided at that point to leave everything and go and study in the jungle, go and study in the Amazon, and dedicate my time to learning the medicine down there. So I didn't have any ideas to want to heal anybody or become a healer or anything like that, or a teacher. No, my plan at the time was just go into the jungle and study the medicine. So that's a little bit about my background. That's how I ended up in the Amazon. Some of the information I'll give tonight, people may think like, how did this guy, where did he come from? But that's my background.